Hey, welcome to Clarity Tarot. I'm so excited today to bring you another collaboration. This time it's with Malavika from Verse. Definitely check out her readings if you haven't already. So, what we're pairing up to do for you today is I'm going to be doing the topic, What shadows have you worked through? And then the companion reading over on Malavika's channel is going to be, How is your shadow integrating with your light? So I will provide all the links for that reading in the description box. Make sure after you watch this one, you go over there and check her out and give her some love. And I'm really excited to do this topic for you. We'll see what comes through. I'm pretty interested. And I'm going to be using the Tarot of the Divine as well as the Sacred Rebels Oracle deck, which was just gifted to me by the lovely Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. I'll be doing another reading with that deck featured here on the channel shortly. And anything else I need to say? Just thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. It's been such a joy to see my little channel get slowly bigger. And if you're interested in a personal reading, there's info for that in the description box. And let's see, we have 3 piles today. Pile 1, and then pile 2, pile 3. Take a moment and consider what one is drawing you in, and I will see you at your reading. Hi, Pile 1. Welcome to your reading. We are looking at what shadows have you worked through. I love this reading for you, Pile 1, because you are such a powerful person and a creative force in the world. So what these cards are saying, you, I think, have been in probably more than one, but at least one significant group situation, whether this is at work or just with some like-minded folks in your area of expertise, where you have tried to put your creative vision out, and that has just attracted a lot of attention, and maybe the wrong kind of attention for you. This makes me think of just kind of the phenomenon which seems to happen, in every industry and every workplace, where somebody new is coming onto the team and everybody's really excited about that person, all their gifts, the way that they're going to show up, the way they're going to transform everything for the good. And that does start to happen, but then there's some things you might notice about that person that's like, that's not exactly the way I'd want to do that, or I'm not so sure if I agree with that approach. And so then others get involved in trying to remake that person's vision or influence it in one way or another. And to some extent, this is good and healthy and right, particularly when we're working in groups. No one vision can just totally overthrow the others. But there are different levels. If you're the director of a film, for example, yes, you have your producers, you have the writers, you have others on the team that are going to influence you. But it's essential for your vision to be primary, or one of the primary. And I think what you've found in your life many times, Pile 1, is that your creative vision has been overthrown or superseded in one way or another in places where that just hasn't been right, is what I want to say. And so to explain what I mean, let's say you're writing a show to go on TV, and you're really clear on your vision for the story, for the characters, what's the overall message of the show. And let's say it's picked up by a production company, and they totally change those fundamental elements. Or let's say you're a project manager and you are supporting a project for your team. This is actually reminding me of an example of my own life, where I've been supporting a training program for one of my clients, and basically centered around a few values. Like, we want to make sure that everyone has practiced any of the things that we're going to be asking them to do, and we want to make sure that they have enough support and one-on-one mentorship throughout the training that they're able to kind of integrate the lessons. So if I designed a training program with those two things in mind, and then someone comes along and says, well, no, we don't need them to do everything that we're going to be asking them to do later. We want to just explain the concept and have them be able to figure it out on their own without more practical one-on-one help. Or we do think that there's a lot of personal growth that comes through this training program, but we don't want to give them an individual mentorship. It's too expensive. There's too much going on for that to happen. And so we're eliminating that. So it's almost like you've learned the lesson of how to manage, how to deal with, someone ripping the guts out of one of your creative projects. Let's say it that way. And there's really a lot of grace and diplomacy that's coming through these cards. It's like you figured out which battles are important. And I think what you've learned most is how to stand strong in your spot and know, like, this is the hill that I'm going to die on, or this is the thing that I absolutely will not change. This is the thing that we can't lose and still maintain the integrity of this training, of this project, of this film, of this book. You know what are the biggest battles that you need to fight. The other part of this lesson that you've been learning, the shadows that you've worked through with this Dream a Beautiful Dream card, this is also about creativity and putting your influence out into the world. And what it asks us to do, this card, is to hold your vision. And if you're noticing that resistance is coming up, or that others are opposing it in some way, don't resist it right back. Be open-hearted and have open hands when it comes to that resistance. That would look like something like this. Like, oh, you don't like that idea? Tell me what's coming up for you that you'd like to see be different. And then be accepting of that feedback. Be accepting of whatever seems to want to happen to find the next road forward, because that also is part of your creative process, to be able to sense into how is this landing for others and how could it be shifted. But the difference there is that you still have the creative influence. You still are like shepherding the birth of this new thing. So the shadow that I think you've integrated is around your own ego and your own attachment to the things that you create. This reminds me of kind of the point of view of, I think, like the best artists, the best creatives in the world really see themselves, in my opinion, as in service to their muse, or in service to the universe, or however you think of that part within you that brings the inspiration to create something. The most creative people I know don't think of creativity as something that they own or that they manufacture or that like actually comes from them in a way. It's almost like you allow yourself to be a channel for it to come through. And so because of that, it's really not about, you owning what wants to happen after that. It's almost like you're a steward, you're a shepherd, you're a caretaker of that idea, of that project. And just like a child, if you're the parent, of course, you're going to sometimes feel like your child represents you, or you might have some, self-esteem or confidence or just ego things that flare up because of how your child is perceived or your child acts. But really, your only job is to try to provide the best environment for that child to thrive. And so you've mastered this lesson, pile one. You've worked through anything related to your own sense of self, your own ego. Oops, sorry, I had to do a quick pause. I realized I didn't have the microphone plugged in. So now we're back. So what I was saying, I mean, just like with parenting, you've realized that your job is to be a steward of what's happening here and then just release the outcome. And you're really, really good at that, pile one. Related to that, I think you've probably received a lot of constructive feedback or notes or feedback from others. And let's use the example of parenting again, because maybe this isn't a creative project. Maybe this literally is like you parenting a child. Maybe you have a lot of, let's say, well-meaning teachers, neighbors, family members who have opinions about exactly what you should be doing to raise that child and how to do it the best way. You've mastered how to both respect others' opinions and listen and seek feedback, but also trust your higher knowing, trust your own inner guidance, and allow the muse, allow the universe to guide you to the right outcome. And this has led you through a lot of heartbreak with the Three of Swords. There have been a lot of moments where it's been really tough for you to see and hear how your projects or your little people, your children, are being accepted in the world or not. But you've really sublimated all this and integrated it within your own self to get to the Nine of Coins. Nine of Coins, sometimes I've heard as described as the pre-Empress card. Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Coins, same thing. Often has someone who's just very abundant. It's a very single card. Like I'm totally content within myself. This is the artist that creates for themselves, for their muse, and whatever others think, like it's nice, but it's not the point. I actually really relate to this with doing tarot readings. Of course, I want to support my clients. I want all of you that are listening to have messages that really serve you and that are supportive. But it's actually not, in a way, it's like not up to me to make that happen. All I can be is as clear a channel as possible to listen to spirit, listen to the voice of God as I understand it, and try to transmit those messages. And then the results, really, I don't own the results. The results are owned by God and whatever's happening in the listener. So it's really kind of a weird way to approach life. To me, it feels very feminine. And as someone who has worked really hard and I've owned my own business, I've been a consultant for many, many years, which is all about delivering results, owning the results. It's the exact opposite energy. It's like, oh, you're hiring me to do this thing, I will deliver that thing. But I think the reason that's coming up is that you're in a very similar energy, pile one, where you've been able to just focus on letting everything flow through you. And if people love it, if people hate it, people love you, people are kind of like, whatever to you. You don't take any of that personally, because it's all about your relationship with you, your relationship with your muse, your relationship between you and God. And to use the parenting example, it's like you want your child to be happy and healthy, and you want your conscience to be clear about all the parenting decisions that you've made. And it's really more about that than what anybody else thinks. And you can sleep at night as long as you feel that you've done the right thing. So I think that's really beautiful, pile one. I mean, you have mastered the ability to truly not be fixated on what others think of you. And that's just a very difficult, very complicated lesson that for many of us, it takes our entire lives to master. And the extra cool thing about this is not only have you mastered that, it's all also connected to your creativity, your vocation in the world, your impact on our world in a way that's really positive. Because, I mean, can you imagine someone I'm thinking of Picasso, or any great artist, really. I mean, artists are very rarely appreciated in their time and space. Can you imagine if any of those people got too hung up on like, oh, well, this person didn't like what I just did, and no one seems to be buying my artwork or appreciating it. You know, you really can't, it's part of the journey, I think, of any creative or of any artist to release that outcome and just focus on, you know, I must create what I'm being bidden to create and allow that to come through me. So beautiful, pile one. So I want to just draw a few cards and see Spirit. So is there anything I didn't say here that would be important for pile one about what shadows they've worked through? We have the Five of Wands, and as it was coming out, it was flipping up and like backwards and forwards. So what I'm getting for that is like, again, like choosing your battles, knowing what you have to fight for. And I think I'm really, even with this card, the Dream a Beautiful Dream card, it's reminding me of like the nucleus of an atom. So it's like you'll fight for the pure essence, like the center of a thing, and all the things that are maybe just like extraneous or not central to the idea. You don't sweat the small stuff. It's only the big things. And you've really learned this, I think, the hard way through the school of hard knocks in your life, pile one, by having lots of challenges or disagreements or just not seeing eye to eye with other people. And you've learned what things that you really want to fight for and what things to just let go. What else do we have here? We have the Five of Coins and the Four of Swords. Yeah, I think the thing that I didn't mention perhaps strongly enough yet is just how much heartbreak and pain has been involved in this situation for you, in this process for you. It's like I'm getting the image of someone who's had to go through lots of different kinds of rejection. This could be even like if you're writing a book and you send your book to 30 publishers and you get 30 rejection notices. You know, every one of those is something that you have to process within yourself, and none of that is easy or fun. And so the shadows you've worked through are, what does it feel like to be alone, to be isolated, to feel abandoned or discarded? And what is it like to allow that period of rest to teach me whatever it's going to teach me, to do its work in me so that I'm changed and transformed and better on the other side? And I think you've gone through that enough times to not fear so much those periods of isolation. It's almost like you see it as maybe an incubation period or a time where, you know, something really beautiful is going to grow later if you're willing to embrace it without anxiety. Anything else for pile one, shadows that they've worked through? Death. Yeah, that sums it up, doesn't it? It's the process of change. So the Death card is about something old falling away. It's also about the new beginning. Because without death, there is no life. Like, death is winter, if you think about the seasons. And you have mastered the shadows that you have worked through. You've mastered the process of death and allowing things to fall away. And if that doesn't seem like a big deal to you, it's a huge deal. Have you ever seen somebody that's in a job that they should have left 10 years ago, or in a relationship or a marriage they should have walked away from 20 years ago? And just the impact that has on a person, you are able to recognize the signs when something needs to fall away, and you move to your next chapter, which brings in so much fresh, positive energy and keeps you from being stuck or stagnated in your shadows. And I'm hearing this is actually something people are very, very much admire in you, and on the lower vibe side, people can be very jealous of you about this. Because you don't get stuck. You know how to move on and not be weighed down. So really amazing reading, pile one, those shadows that you've worked through. I hope you go over and check out Malavika's companion, How is Your Shadow Integrating with Your Light? I think that'd be really interesting for this, and see how the two readings match up as well. But thank you so much for coming by. And if you're new here from Malavika's channel, welcome. So glad to see you. And please like, comment, and subscribe to the video if you'd like to see more content like this. I will see you in a future reading. Hey Pile 2, welcome to your reading for What Shadows Have You Worked Through. If you're here from Malavika's channel, welcome. So happy to have you. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to see more content like this. And now let's get into what shadows have you worked through. So we have the Six of Wands, King of Cups, Six of Coins, Page of Wands, Wheel of Fortune, 10 of Coins, and the Visions of Life Beyond Death from the Sacred Rebels Oracle. So the shadow you've worked through, I would say, Pile 2, is a sense of blindness. I think in the past you may have had experiences where it's like you were really shocked by the truth of something, and looking back, it was hard for you to understand how you hadn't seen it earlier. So there's been something about your perception and the way that you look at the world and things around you that has been, the only word I'm thinking of is blocked. It's been blocked in the past. And I'm getting that this is because you just haven't wanted to see things a certain way. For example, maybe you want to believe that all people are generally trying their best, want to do the right thing, don't have ill intentions towards anyone, and truly want what's for others' highest good. On the opposite side, perhaps you want to believe that all people are very predictable because they will always do what's in their best interest. People are selfish. People are focused on their own needs. Nobody really cares about anybody else. And it's very easy to predict what somebody will do in a situation because they'll do, whatever their lower nature calls them to. It doesn't have to be about people, these perceptions that you've found out to be wrong. They could even be like spiritual beliefs or ways that maybe even like your political beliefs. Maybe you've been a Democrat and are realizing, actually, I think Republicans, in the US have it down, or vice versa, or maybe like socialism is where I want to be. Whatever this is for you, the shadow you've worked through is there's been something that you haven't been willing to see about yourself or about the world, and the scales have now fallen from your eyes. That's a biblical reference about when their eyes are opened and they're able to see something clearly. There's all kind of reasons this can happen to us. I would say mostly they're either based in childhood trauma or just like our way of looking at things. So where I grew up actually was a very, very religious community, conservative Christian in the United States. And every 2 or 3 blocks, there's a church. And it was also a dry county, so there were no bars allowed in the city limits. So just because that's the town that I grew up in, I had a very particular view of the world. So when I, moved to a different state, and, when I wasn't living at home anymore, and I saw that there's only one church in the town, but there's a bar in every corner, it's like, even just something like that kind of blew my mind. So even something like that could be represented here. The shadow that you've worked through is your particular worldview. That'd be the way to sum it up. Like, you've realized that your worldview is shaped by your own experiences, your culture, your language, your family of origin, everything that you've experienced up till now in your life. And you're now willing to see the worldviews of others, see that it's more complicated than just the way that you look at things. And because of that, it's like the scales have fallen from your eyes are open, you're able to see just the richness and the diversity of life. You're able to make different choices as you want to about what you want your life to be like. And there's something about this that is directly impacting your sense of abundance, happiness, balance. The 10 of Coins, the 10 of Pentacles, to me is like one of the best cards to ever see in your spread, because 10 is the highest number, and it's about, you just look here. There's this, like a patriarch of the family surrounded by all these kids. Looks like he's smoking something, hanging out. Looks like he's in this nice house in the trees. and all the kids are like happy and laughing, and he's got a partner here who's like doting on him. And this card always talks about like just getting to a 10 in the areas of like stability, money, family, emotionally, spiritually, like every way that you would want to feel happy and healthy and wise, you have those things. So there's something about your vision, your eyes being opened that has contributed to this. Now, if you're here at this reading and you're thinking, I wouldn't say I'm at 10 of Pentacles. I don't think everything's perfect. I don't feel abundance in every area. This reading is a promise to you that you are on that road and that you will get there if you continue. And look at what else we have here. I mean, we have the Six of Wands, which is a card about like success, victory. The Six of Coins is about generosity. It's about sharing. It's about finding the places where there's mutuality and give and take. The Wheel of Fortune is about luck and good karma. The Page of Wands is about exploration, like a childlike zest or lust for life. King of Cups is about like deep reserves of emotion that you use when it's appropriate, but you're not like ruled by your emotions. And then the Visions of Life Beyond Death card from the Sacred Rebels Oracle. It's about a similar idea of like your eyes being open and you being able to see beyond the veil. So this is not just like beyond your own worldview, but this is being able to see specifically like the spiritual realm, being able to see what's behind, or like the spiritual meaning behind things. This could even be pointing to like spiritual gifts that have awakened for you from this process of working through these shadows. But whatever the specific gifts are that you've experienced, and they'll be unique to each of you, they've been big. And again, if you haven't experienced those big time gifts yet, they're on their way to you because you're building that foundation. So I just want to ask Spirit here if there's anything I missed that I should say for pile 2 and the shadows they've worked through. Anything else that wants to come through for pile 2 and the shadows they've worked through. We have the Seven of Coins and the Four of Coins. 2 more Pentacle cards. So perhaps you are an Earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. You certainly don't have to be. So the shadows you've worked through. You've learned how to let things go, how not to hold on to a particular way of looking at things or a particular point of view. This could even be financially, like maybe even, I'm thinking right now, like investments. Like maybe you grew up or earlier in your life decided like the best thing you could do with your money would be to put it all into real estate, like save all your money and scrape it all together until you can maybe like buy a house. But now you're realizing, actually, I should just rent my whole life and put all of my investments into the stock market to grow my money. Or I don't know. It could be anything that this is represented by here, but there's something about like saving and conserving that you've released in a different way, and it's serving you better now. This could even be, I'm thinking of a family member, an extended family member of mine, who was very focused on their job during their working years and just said, you know, I'm saving up my money for when I retire because that's when I'm going to take a big vacation. That's when I'm going to go do all the things that I want to do. In the meantime, I'm just working and saving money and making sure that I'm being financially responsible. And which, you know, is one way to live. But at some point in their life, I think in their 50s, they said, you know, what I'm realizing is that I want to live my life now, actually. Like, I don't want to wait until I'm retired and maybe I don't even like traveling anymore and I have physical issues or who knows what's happening. Like, I want to live my life now. I don't want to save to live later. So there's something like that here about specifically how you manage your resources and your money that's changed, that's been really transformative for you. On the other side, I mean, seriously, there could be like hundreds of applications, but I'll just give you one other example. This could also be something like maybe you never budgeted in your life before, or never really paid attention or balanced a checkbook or looked at the money that was coming in and where it was going. And you've changed that. You've realized, oh, like, that doesn't serve me. That doesn't actually give me the freedom that I'm looking for. It actually produces more anxiety. And if I want freedom, I need to know what's coming in. I need to be mindful about the choices I'm making and what's going out. With the 7 of Coins, the shadow you've worked through is being willing to plant a bunch of different seeds and then just see if they grow. And if they don't grow, you can take some reasonable effort to see if you can make them grow better. But no one wants to be the gardener, like standing over a plant in the ground that just has failure to thrive and being like, why won't you grow? You must grow. And taking all these different interventions to try to make that happen. No, I mean, there's certainly things you can understand about what's contributing to that. Maybe it doesn't have the right sunlight or doesn't have the right plant food, whatever's happening. But the very process of planting these different seeds is the point. The experimentation of understanding, okay, what's needed here. So anything else, Spirit, about shadows pile 2 has worked through that's important for them to know? 3 of Wands. So the 3 of Wands for me is always a romance card, just as a reader. I mean, here we see someone climbing the ladder up to the heavens. The shadows you work through are how to have a healthy long-term relationship. This is, again, is going to be different for each of you, but what I'm getting from this is, again, like the way that you see things. Maybe you used to see romance and partnership and connection and a good relationship as someone who's exciting or someone who turns you on or somebody that just takes your breath away. And perhaps now, like, you like that feeling, but you realize sometimes it goes with, you know, somebody that reactivates my childhood trauma or someone who actually isn't that good for me. And maybe I should focus on who do I actually feel regulated around? Like, who does my body and my nervous system say yes to? Who shares the same goals that I do? Who treats me the way I want to? Who takes me on romantic dates or plans thoughtful gifts or helps me feel loved and appreciated and helps that like in love feeling never die. You know, it's a very different energy than someone who is just like very thrilling. And for those very lucky of us, sometimes you can get those both in the same person. But there's something here about your relationships and about your romantic interest that has shifted in a way that's also really positive and is leading to success. So similar to the 10 of Coins, and maybe for some of you that was the thing that you were listening to and you're like, well, maybe I've got my money right, but I don't have the relationship I want. Or I have a great partner, but I need some better friends. Or there's something like that that's missing. Again, there's a message coming through this reading that like you're on the path to that and it's going to happen for you. So exciting, pile 2. I think this is your reading. Thank you so much for coming by. Please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Let me know what you thought of it, and I hope to see you next time. Hi, pile 3. Welcome to your reading. If you're here from Malavika's channel, welcome. Thank you so much for coming by. And if you're here from my channel, welcome also. Make sure you check out Malavika's reading, which is linked in the description box after this one. So we're going to be talking about what shadows have you worked through, and the other topic is how is your shadow integrating? So the first part of your message here, pile 3, that's wanting to come through with this Legacy of Light card. This card specifically is a blessing on any major decision you've just made. So if you're coming to this reading and you've just decided to start a relationship, end a relationship, leave a job, start a new job, move locations, get a new house, downsize, whatever, adopt a child, I don't know, could be get pregnant, Whatever decision you've just recently made, this reading is coming through to let you know that there is a blessing on that decision and it was the right one. So that's a special message that may resonate with some of you. And please let me know in the comments if that resonates for anybody, because I think that's so cool when things like that come through. The other thing about this Legacy of Light card, so shadows that you've worked through. I mean, do you see the different generations here? This makes me think of lineage, of ancestors, of family lines, of healing generational trauma. Maybe that's also related to whatever decision you've just made. And this card is talking about the support you have in your actual lineage. And there actually may be something in your lineage that supports the decision you're making right now. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. So it's reminding me of a conversation I had with my aunt, who is someone I dearly love. And she and my mother are the only siblings. And my mother has a lot of ideas and expectations about how families should be and operate, which includes just a lot of visits, a lot of closeness, living in a similar geographic area, having a similar community. And my aunt was talking about how just some feelings of guilt and frustration that she was experiencing because she's not that. She doesn't live, that close to my mother's side of the family, and she lives in a different state, 1,000 miles away or so, and so it's difficult to have that regular contact, and as she's getting older and others in the family are getting older, it's more difficult to continue to visit. And so she was saying how she feels guilty and how she might even be not honoring her parents by doing that. And what I reminded her, which really felt prompted by Spirit in the moment to say, is to talk with her about my grandmother, her mother. So my grandmother was the youngest of 5 girls who grew up on the north side of Chicago. My great-grandmother ran an Italian boarding house for people who had just come over from the old country, as they say, and she made her own wine and sausage, spoke only Italian. And so the community was very focused on the local Italian community. And my grandmother, my aunt's mother, had seen basically each of her older sisters marry someone from within the community, and those marriages and those dating relationships didn't go well. And I actually don't even know exactly the details of that, or what exactly were the social problems that were between them. I don't know if it was domestic violence or addictions or what the issues were, but I just know that that my grandmother said it just wasn't healthy and it wasn't a good thing. And so she actually was the only person to marry someone who wasn't from that community. And they actually then physically relocated just to a different suburb in Chicago, about an hour away. But just there was a clear separation there. So anyway, as my aunt was describing how she was just feeling this guilt about leaving, about creating that separation, I told her, but you are honoring the legacy of your parents. Literally, you're doing what they have done. They knew that their life and their path existed somewhere else. And so they took steps to create that life, even if it may not have been understood perfectly by those around them. And that takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of bravery. It takes dealing with feelings like guilt and shame that come up. And that's not easy. And there's nothing wrong with doing that. So I tell that story because I was prompted to, and I hope that it may resonate for someone. But there's something I think similar for you that are watching, where if you think about it, and if you open your mind, there's a story from your family history or from your lineage that actually would really support and celebrate whatever decision you've just made. So Spirit is bringing that extra message through for you today to let you know, like, I see you. I see that you need some extra support and encouragement right now. It's a really big deal for you to make this decision or even consider making this decision. And know your parents or those important people in your family aren't going to be disappointed in you or reject you in the ways that you're thinking. Consider how they might truly feel about what's happening here. So I hope that part resonates for you, pile 3. Please let me know in the comments if it does. And coming back to the general question here of what shadows have you worked through? There's some kind of, I'm drawn to the Emperor card here. So the Emperor is most usually a person, a masculine energy person, doesn't have to be a man, but someone who makes the rules, creates the system, lays down the law, is in control, and manages everything. This could be, the leader of a family or an organization. This could be an overbearing romantic partner. It could also be a child, in the sense of if you have a very, very strong-willed child who, even though they're 3 years old, it's like they rule the house. This could also apply. But the shadow that you've worked through is how to see the truth and tell the truth about this figure in your life and to take your distance with the 8 of Cups. So 8 of Cups is walking away, and it's a Cups card, which means it's emotional. It doesn't come with just like, oh, well, I'm just gonna leave now. No, this is like the gut-wrenching, tears, up all night worrying decision to leave something behind. It's never easy with the 8 of Cups. And it's something that you've loved, that's had emotion for you. So the shadow that you have worked through is how to actually say no and leave things when they don't work for you. Just like my aunt in the story, and it would be easier for her, and when she was younger and had more energy, it was easier also. It would be easier for her to just say, okay, you expect me to be at every family event, I will be at every family event because I want you to feel valued, I want the others in the family to feel connected to me, and so I will be there. It's harder for her to say, my family and my life and my priority is here where I live, just like it's there for you where you live. And I do want to see you, I do want to participate, but I'm not going to be able to meet your expectations in exactly the way that you would hope. Something like that, where you are creating more space for yourself, because the Emperor is always kind of a my way or the highway energy. And while the Emperor, it's the Emperor upright, so this is like a person that's also fair. Even so, we can, I'll say I can get in a pattern of, if someone's really strong like this, is there something soothing about somebody that knows exactly what they want and exactly how they want things to be? And so it can be easy just to defer to that person. Be like, oh, that's the right way, or that's what you think. Okay, fine, we'll do it that way. Instead of doing the hard work of, with the Ace of Swords, like, but what's true for me here? What do I actually want? And now I'm even thinking of the example of like dieting. Like, let's say you have a romantic partner that, 2024 is here and they want to get in the best shape of their life. So they're going paleo and they're working out two times a day, 6 days a week. And they're like, this is the way to be healthy. Come do this with me. Like, it's the way to be healthy. And, they're not wrong, maybe, or maybe they are, depending on how you think about it. But that also doesn't mean that it's your truth or the right thing for you or your path. Do you get it, pile 3? So the shadow that you've mastered and that you've worked through is just being able to discern, like, what is my path? Not like, what do other people want from me? What others advise me to do? But what truly is the way that I should go? So now I'm going to pull a few other cards here and see if there's something further that Spirit wants to say about this. So for pile 3, Spirit, what shadows have they worked through? We have the 7 of Coins jumping out. The Hermit. And the 3 of Cups. What I'm really getting here is this is about community for you. Finding your people. Finding where you belong, and maybe not even like where you belong, but where you want to be. Like what feels good to you? What actually lands in a positive way in your body, mind, and spirit? You're discerning this better and moving towards it. Even if others don't understand, even if others perceive you as just like dropping a match and letting something go up in flames from your past, you're able to embrace this in a really positive way. And it's come from the spiritual journey you've been on. So the Hermit card, I love this depiction in this deck, the Tarot of the Divine. Because sometimes the Hermit is talked about, taking time to yourself, being withdrawn, and it can be that. But the Hermit card is about an inward journey. It's about spirituality. It's about finding your path. It's about going on a pilgrimage. With this stag or whatever is happening here, I'm almost thinking of like finding your Patronus. I don't know if we have some Harry Potter fans here. But these changes and the shadows that you've worked through have come from your spiritual work. So again, if you have had the thought that maybe what's happening now in your life is by chance or just because the passage of time or you've gotten older or maybe some other kind of random occurrence in your life, no. Spirit's wanting to let you know directly and specifically that what you're experiencing now in your life is a direct result of your spiritual journey, and it's a positive thing. It's all positive. Even if there's moments where you feel like some of the changes aren't good, or that you're not on the right path, not going in the right direction, Spirit's coming through to let you know that you are on the right path and everything's okay. And so just the way that Spirit's choosing to speak to you, pile 3, I can tell that you have been a person that has not experienced a lot of support in your life in the ways that matter. And when I say the ways that matter, what I mean is people saying, okay, pile 3, what's really important for you? What works for you? What do you want? How can we support you instead of just giving you this one fits all type solution? The other thing coming to mind now, I've been watching This Is Us, which is a TV show. I think it's on Netflix now. It's actually really good. It's a few years old, but so I kind of missed the craze, but I'm catching up now. And the part I'm at in the series is it's a story of three children who all have the same birthday, grow up with the same family. One of them's adopted, an African-American boy, and who was like brought home from the hospital with the twins that were biological children of these parents. And so this little black boy grows up in a white family in a white suburb, and there's a lot of beautiful things about that. It's a positive family, but in terms of like his racial identity, his experience, his heritage, there's no support for that. And so something like that would even apply, like in the show, like his parents are very well-meaning. They want to give him the best. They want to give him love and support and guide him as he's growing up. But they can't do that in a way that really encapsulates all of him. And it's something that you've had to learn, pile 3, that the people in your life are very well-meaning, but they also they don't know what's best for you. Like, that's actually your job. So even this strong person, this emperor who wants to protect you, who isn't, a terrible person, they love you. That's not the same as knowing what's right for you or being the person that should direct your path. The only person that should direct your path is you in partnership with Spirit. And you've mastered this lesson. And wow, what a huge lesson that is. My goodness. I mean, such a big deal, pile 3. I hope you really feel that. And yeah, I just want to say, like, I can feel just the lack of support that you've experienced in developing your own sense of self, your sense of what works for me, though. And for that to have come online to the point that it has is really a beautiful thing, and it's only going to get better from here. So thank you so much for coming by, pile 3. I hope you leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. Let me know how this resonated for you, or even if it didn't. I'd be really curious to hear that. And if you want to see other content like this, make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell. And I hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.